So, welcome to my vlog. I'm a little gross today. As you can see, I'm rocking the raincoat because it is wet and kind of yucky out. It's about halfway through my day. I woke up bright and early at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's one of the nice things about living on ODSP. Time kind of does not exist. And one of the things I'm doing today is I'm going down to get a bigger SD card. I had a 2 gigabyte card lying around, but it's only going to give me about an hour at low quality. I don't know exactly how these P things work. That's something I'm going to have to do some research into video editing, figure out how all these things work, but I think it's at 320p. And I think this goes to 640p, although it was advertised as 720p. That might be because I don't have enough memory. We'll find out when I get a bigger memory card. But I didn't want to start recording this morning because I knew I only had an hour, and that's going to be barely enough to get me to the store. I wanted to make sure I got some nice shots walking around through Windsor. So where do I live? I live in Windsor, Ontario, which is the Canadian side of Detroit. You could even call it Detroit, Canada. In a real sense, it is. It's an auto town. It's falling apart, not as badly as Detroit, but if you go to the right areas, you can see it's getting pretty bad. I'm walking through areas that are kind of close to downtown, so you won't really notice it as much. But it's an older community that is not in the best shape. But that's where I am. I will go to Detroit repeatedly. You will see me out in Detroit. But right now, I'm really just going grocery shopping. And I'm going to take a walk around Windsor, go to the places I need to go, and then come home. When I come home, I'll switch my batteries, swap my card. Actually, I may swap my card halfway there. And continue on from there. Alright, so out I go. You gotta bear with me here. I'm not just new to this, I'm new to video cameras altogether. Maybe I can see walk out there, the light turns on. There's a light there. I don't know, you probably can't see it. The switch is off. I'm conscientiously touched, so I'm going to close this, lock the door. And I gotta fix my shoes too. I'm just used to walking around with me. Make sure I buy cheap shoes so that I don't care if I ruin them. There's a church in my front yard there. This is, I suppose it looks like a mansion from the outside. It's actually a multi-spaced, multi-unit apartment building. I am the only unit in the basement. And I'm going to throw on a tune. In fact, I'm going to turn this off. I don't think I need it on right now. That right there on the right is the crossing to the United States underneath the tunnel. I will take the bus through there repeatedly. And coming up is stop number 1. It's where I get my medication. I'm going to be turning this off now. That went poorly. I was kind of expecting it to go poorly though. My doctor's being a jerk. When I went to see him in London, he told me he would prescribe from a distance. But then when I went to refill, he told me he wouldn't do that. So I've been trying to find a comparable doctor here in Windsor, which it's a small city, and it has some very regressive perspectives regarding certain things. So I'm kind of running up against a kind of a small town conservative mentality here. It's very annoying. I have certain tactics that I can bring in, but I don't really want to. I have to make some calls on Monday. You know, I mean, it's not like I've been on these medications for over 5 years now. This isn't something that's new. You know, you would think that that fact alone would be enough to get a very quick prescription, rather than having to talk to about a dozen doctors now and having them all come up with the same, you know, kind of backwards perspectives about things. It's very frustrating. But that was where I would and will. I mean, we've got another month. I can wait still, but I'm gonna have to make some calls on Monday for sure. And I do have an appointment in the middle of November, but it's kind of, I think it's kind of medium grade probability. I should be seeing a specialist. So 2 of the other 3 things I'm doing today, the second of 3 things that I'm doing today, would be grocery shopping. It's a fire station. This is first stop here. Kind of a budget food chain in Canada. I don't know, maybe they have them in the States too. It's just a price check to start off with. Sorry, I was just putting my headphones on. Strawberries. That's how much strawberries cost here. They go up and down. They buy way too many of them, keep the price up, and then when they don't sell, they pull them down. actually not bad. I'm having spaghetti this month, so I want small tomatoes, and those are too big. It's not bad. That's acceptable. What else was there? I can get cheaper ice cream from the other place. Just checking my list here. Find it in my pocket. Yeah. This was just a price check run, but it doesn't look like I'm coming back here today. Okay, I'm transiting to a different grocery store. It's just through suburban Windsor. That's not even suburban, like old urban. That's gonna be boring, so I'm gonna conserve card space and turn this off. That's a bit better. Yeah, those are the same everywhere. See, I thought they were bad in the other place. Yeah, right. It's a bit better, and they're a bit smaller too, so it's good for me. Yeah. But that's for that. And the soy milk here is always expensive. So I'm done here. Got the new SD card, and it's showing just under 15 hours. It's enough for, well, the batteries won't last that long anyways. Want to take longer trips out to Detroit, I'll have to bring extra cases of batteries. But, thank you Staples, did the job. Okay. Take a walk up to the last grocery store. I'm a little concerned about the batteries right now, so I'm going to turn it off. I'm not getting the effect that I wanted to get out of this. I'll have plenty of chances to walk and get the effect after. This one is going to be a little bit of just a starter one. Got a couple of things. It's a nice bridge. I'll take a few more shots on the way back, but yeah. Grocery store number 3, and the ice cream is on sale. That is Caesar dressing as my spaghetti sauce. And I'm better off everything else somewhere else. See, this drives me crazy. The express line. That's not 1 to 12 items. That's more like 25 to 30 items. People do this, it drives me nuts. That's 1 to 12 items. This is coming out of store number 3. Across the railroad tracks. going back to store number 2 to get some green peppers and some tomatoes. This is a nice walk though, so I'll cut through it. It's a J there. I somehow doubt it's directed at me, but hey. Ground is wet, don't be too wet. Ah, that's not bad. Okay, off to store number 2. So, I went to store number 2. I got my green peppers and my tomatoes and my bananas. A little bit more than I wanted it to be, but eh. And I am now walking by the place where I've been seeing a psychiatrist for a while. I was hoping I was done with them, but because the endocrinologists in this city seem to be exceedingly conservative, I might not be done with them yet. I think they're closed on Saturdays. I just want to double check. This is the CMHA. And endocrinologists want me to go to the CHMA, in which there is not one in Windsor. There's only one in Toronto. And it's a year-long waiting list to get in. But considering that I've, been done transition for years, yeah, Saturday closed. Probably gonna have to come down on Monday. I don't know if you can see the time there. It's 12 o'clock. I left about 9:30. Which means I've been walking for about 2.5 hours straight. This is normal for me. I do this at least once a week. So now I'm heading back to store number 1 to get some soy milk. I think that's all the only other thing I need today. You can usually get the soy milk about $3. $3.33 is, you know, whatever. The other stores have them, like sometimes it's pushing $5. Don't get me started on markets. It's all based on how badly they screw up, you know? If they're good with their supply, or in theory anyways, if they bring enough supply in, then they should be able to sell it for what they list it as, right? But they always overlist it until it gets near the expiration date, and then they have to cut the price. So consumers understand that, and they just wait until the price comes down. If we had, you know, more intelligent means of setting prices and whatnot, then they just set it at the lower price all the time. It's this constant pull between, you know, price gouging, until they can't, and then they're forced to sell at cost. It's really a remarkably inefficient system when you really look at it. I mean, when I was in there last week, it was $4, and it was $4 a week before that. A few weeks before that, they had it on sale for $3 because they had a fridge full of soy milk that was set to expire in 2 weeks. And it happens over and over again. It's just this cycle. It's the same thing with the strawberries. When they come in from California, they set it at $5 or something, right? They can't sell it, so it sits on a shelf for weeks until it's like, they throw half of it out because it's moldy. And then they cut it to $2.50. Or like the week before I bought, I think 3 packages for $1.99. Because they were just trying to get rid of it before it went bad. But as a consumer, I know to wait until it comes down, right? It's just this ridiculous game. If they just set it at a reasonable price in the first place, and I mean, like, how many consumers don't realize that? Like, who's going to sit there and pay 2 to 3 times the price when they could wait a week? You know, depends what you're doing with them as well. I put strawberries in smoothies, so as long as it's not white, green, or some other unpleasant color, it doesn't really matter if it's a little soft. Anyways, back to store number 1. So I'm just coming around the corner here, just about home. Got my soy milk there in store number 1. I picked up part of my prescription. I hate it when they do that. Let me come back in a few days to get the rest. So I'm just going to come around here. Gotta put my groceries away. And then I'm going to do a quick run around the apartment. The couch right there, it's better rain. Oh, I've got plenty of furniture. Never seen a park there before. Again, it's dark down here. We have the light turned off most of the time. It says they're drilling upstairs. Putting a furnace in at the furthest apartment upstairs. The landlord is convinced that the price of electricity has no end in sight, and you know what, he might be right. I think he's a little naive about the price of natural gas, though. If he's right that electricity is not coming down anytime soon, but natural gas is going up pretty fast. I think he's going to find that it's not as good an investment as he thinks. and from an environmental perspective, I don't like it. I mean, the Ontario government has taken a very ridiculous approach with electricity deregulation. Allowing markets to set prices has created a mess. And it's hard to blame people, It's a failure in government policy, and what he's doing is, on some level, rational, if he truly believes that the price of natural gas is stable and the price of electricity has no end in sight as it climbs higher and higher. But because most of our electricity generation here in Ontario is done with clean energy sources, if the government was doing its due diligence regarding climate policy, it would be going out of its way to ensure low electricity prices. It's actually not. It's actually going out of its way to create a circumstance that is beneficial to investors for high prices. So that's a failure in government policy. These are strawberries, frozen strawberries. They were purchased frozen. Just gotta cycle this around here. There's my calm toast container, and that will be something else. Empty ice cream. As you can see, I need to eat quite a bit of ice cream. That's the thing that really needs to get in there. Bananas go in there. More berries. Tomato bin. Actually, I should check that for holes, because it invariably happens. In there. My remaining tomato will be the first. I can leave that on the counter for a few minutes. Check that after. You don't need to watch me do that. Okay, so let's have a quick run around this place here. The surroundings. That's what I wanted number one to be about, was just to set the, let's alliterate a term. I'm bad with words when I can't remember them. Actually, I'm good with words, but I forget them a lot. Anyways, this is what you could call my smoking room. As you can see, it has a window that opens. There are two fans to get the smoke out, an ashtray, a place to sit, which I'm sitting in now. I thought that was a bug or something. And even some tunes coming out of the speakers. Although, I'll be honest with you, I've never used them. That there is my TV computer, or my living room computer. It's out here because, as I'm sure you can tell, it's quite loud. And having it in here would interfere with the sound coming out. This was initially built in 1999. It came with Windows 98 on it. Everything's been swapped out of it except the board. It's still the Asus P5B from 1999, and the tower. I put it takes a maximum of 1 gigabyte of RAM, but it's in there. A massive 20 gigabyte hard drive. It's ancient, but it only needs to do two things. There's a light in here for. All right, so yeah, I will be spending time in here. I don't smoke cigarettes in here. The laws in Canada are in the process of changing, so it will be okay to film some things. Not quite yet, but in a bit. So that goes out here. Those are speakers and lots of CDs, and into that system and that TV. So the only thing that needs to do is send a signal to. I had that backwards there. The only thing that computer needs to do is send a signal to that TV. This is a Brookings Institute talk on the future of Palestine. I watch these kinds of things when I'm eating. And to send music out to the stereo system. As you can see, I've got my CDs in giant piles. I moved in here about 2 years ago, a little more than that, and I've been meaning to build a CD shelf over here the whole time. I'm never going to find one at a reasonable price. It would be far cheaper just to build it, but I mean, getting around to do it hasn't happened at this point. Likewise, it's all books and those things, and I wanted to build a bookshelf in my bedroom. I haven't gotten around to that yet either. I did buy a drill, so it's just a question of going down and doing it. It's actually a nice couch setting. I inherited that from my dad a few years ago when he died. This is, of course, the kitchen. It's nothing particularly fancy. Nothing in this place is particularly fancy, but I moved here. I didn't move here because it was fancy. I moved here because it was cheap. I initially lived in Ottawa, and for the price I'm paying for this 2-bedroom apartment in Windsor, I would have a hard time finding even a bachelor's apartment in Ottawa. It's quite cheap. There's my bathroom. I don't need to spend too much time in there. This is my bedroom. Likewise, I wanted to build a little shelf here to take my laptop off of the bed, which has been where it's been for 2 years. Longer than that, actually. I sleep beside my laptop. I'll walk around there. Closet. There's just laundry and shit in here. And this is my music room. This is why I wanted a 2-bedroom. I shouldn't need a 2-bedroom, but I wanted a 2-bedroom so that I could have extra space for studio stuff. I mean, I would have settled for a 1-bedroom, but the prices, it was great here. So this is my recording room. Very old. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. Very old 9 Inch Nails shirt. I think I bought that shirt about 1995 or 1996. As you can see, it got much use. I had many shirts on my wall at one point. An old John Lennon shirt, Filter t-shirt. There was another 9 Inch Nails shirt that was in even worse shape than this. But they seem to have disappeared when I moved. That's actually my first guitar amp. It's a vintage Kurt Cobain poster from the Guitar World, I think 1994. It was just one of the little inserts. Ancient. It's a Frank Zappa laminate that my uncle made for me sometime in the mid-90s. Those guys, I don't know, maybe you heard of those guys? I just like their hair. I think he was probably the coolest. And those eyes staring at me when I'm recording. Sometimes it's kind of neat. That's a flute that my aunt brought back from me. Did I say aunt here or uncle? I meant to say uncle. It was my uncle that did these laminates. My aunt brought me back that flute from India, and it was used on a few tracks, but has since broken. That is a poster that came with the second Silver Mountain Zion record. I don't know if they came with all the shippings or if it was the first one, or even if Don and or Ian just sent me a poster because I wanted to, but it came with it. That's I think that Floyd poster came out of one of the Floyd records. Might have even been Dark Side. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I got out of like the record sleeve, but I don't know if it came with it or if it was just the second-hand thing or what. That man requires no introduction. It's also a Guitar World insert. And that's a picture of one of John Lennon's guitars. That's a little pin, sorry. That's actually a sketch of me. I was busking on the steps of the University of British Columbia, and somebody just showed up out of nowhere and handed me a picture of a sketch drawing to do. I guess it was some kind of art student or something. Pretty cool. I had it sitting around. There are keyboards and drum machines and other things of the sort underneath this pile of towels. I've got them covered up just because I'm not using them at the very moment. There's an Epiphone guitar in there. There's another Epiphone guitar in there, and a Ibanez bass under there. That's my recording PC. CD printer with regular printer. My mixer. It's an Alesis mixer, 16-track Firewire. Those are my ancient headphones, a little bit disheveled right now due to this part here is broken. I've been struggling with this forever. I'm pretty sure that there's an issue with this plug here. I think it's the connector. But this connector here is not working right. And I'm going to have to do a little bit more testing to see, but I'm pretty close to fixing it, I hope. There's a drum kit, an Alesis kit again, just a startup kit, but it does what I need it to do. Many guitar effects that are not in much use at the moment there. Things like Rocktron, there's a Creamy Dreamer, a Big Muff, standard MXR phaser. This is my actual chain that I generally use. The Electro-Harmonix Linear Power Booster to a Gaia Tone SD2 that goes into a SD1 Super Overdrive, into an Arch Tube preamp, and that goes further into my Pod XT, which does all the guitar modeling, and that will then go right into the computer from there. And of course I do all the other things with the computer as well. That's my stack of bass compressors that I require to get a decent bass sound. That's pretty much everything in here. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so I think that that's probably it for the day. I I gotta finish putting my stuff away. My coffee maker, I can live with that. Anyway, so yeah, that's your tour around the surroundings here, so that you can have some idea of what I do down here. It's a small place, but at the same time, it's a castle for me. It's a luxury suite as far as I'm concerned. It's as you can see, it's an older place. The rent is super cheap. There's the odd roach here and there, but for what it is, I love this place, and I wouldn't trade it for much of anything. Yeah, what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day, I'm going to get my stuff put away, and try to experiment a little bit with video editing. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research to figure that out, but the bulk of the rest of the day will be spent hopefully trying to get to the rest of that court issue resolved. Yeah, and we'll be back tomorrow, I guess. Right, later.